Hey everyone, welcome to Rollahan Garage, and welcome to my 2022 Model Y review. I've owned this car for about 2 years, about 40,000 kilometers. I'm just gonna check here, 46,000 kilometers. So, as the title kind of states, I wanted to make a review of this video, something a little bit different. I do hate this car, but at the same time, I would buy another Tesla. I would buy another Model Y. And we're going to talk about a couple things why I hate it. And we're going to actually start with the good stuff first, get that out of the way. And it's probably going to be pretty typical for most people, I think, that have a Tesla. Warranty on this car is phenomenal, right? When I was looking at cars and you look at luxury brands and things like that, and you always look at BMW, Mercedes, all that kind of stuff, generally they have 4-year warranty, 80,000 kilometers. There's not a lot of warranty. I get the feeling that they don't stand behind their product much, and that's kind of the thing with new cars is it doesn't really matter what brand you buy, the warranty seems to be pretty lacking. Especially on cars in the price range of a Model Y or something like that. So I do really like Tesla's warranty. Their powertrain warranty is 8 years, 190,000 kilometers, which is really, really great peace of mind if you don't want to worry about anything with the car, like the expensive stuff like high voltage battery or motors and stuff like that. So warranty, very, very excellent. For the most part, Tesla software is incredible. I don't think there's a car manufacturer today that actually have a better software suite than Tesla does. I think their software works super well. Phone as a key is perfect. There's not a lot of companies that do software really well because most companies are manufacturing companies, right? They don't have that software know-how, and where Tesla grew up from the ground up with both, I think they really do benefit from having really, really good software. And I'm talking about, like I say, their app is really good, preheating the car is really excellent, maps, navigation. The car will tell you exactly how to get to a supercharger, and it's very accurate on when you're going to arrive and stuff like that. So really, really nice to see the software in these cars, and Tesla is definitely far ahead of anyone else in the software realm. And the obvious one, which still is a Tesla staple, supercharging. Really, supercharging is why I bought this car. I didn't want to buy an expensive electric car, but I knew that I did not want to mess around with trying to find a charger. I do go on some road trips, usually about 1 road trip a year or 2 road trips a year, and it's around 2,200 kilometers. So it's about a 10-hour drive, and I want to make sure that I can get to the destination and not worry about broken chargers and stuff like that. So it was very important for me to get a proper charging network, and Tesla is the only company that has one as of right now. So those are the real big takeaways, and charging and warranty are the reason I bought this Model Y. Now, I do hate this car. There's a lot of things that I just don't know why they did this. They're very annoying, and I'm not a fan of them. So first, let's just start with the glass roof. I don't want a glass roof. I can understand from a luxury standpoint, maybe the Model X and Model S, they could have glass roof. That's fine. They're a higher price range car. Great. But I personally, this is just a liability. It can cost around $3,000 to replace this roof. I've seen anywhere from $1,500 to $3,000 to replace this glass roof. And driving on the highway where I live, it's definitely possible to get rock chips. And as soon as you get a rock chip, crack starts, and you gotta put a whole new roof on your car, which just, I like simple, and this is not a simple thing to replace, and it's expensive. It's just it's just not necessary at all. So I do not like the glass roof. I would have ordered a Model Y without one if they had the option. there's not really a lot of manual settings in this car, meaning one big annoyance that pretty much every Tesla owner has is windshield wipers. If I want to use cruise control, and we'll get to cruise control in just a little minute, I have to have automatic windshield wipers. It's the stupidest thing. I honestly can't understand why the automatic windshield wipers don't work well enough for me to be forced to use them. So if I want to use cruise, I get garbage windshield wipers. Or I don't use cruise and I get manual windshield wipers like I would want. You're driving down the highway, and if it's summertime and you get a bug in your windshield wiper sensor, your windshield wipers are on nonstop if cruise is on. So you got to pull over to the side of the road, you got to clear out the bugs on the windshield wiper sensor. And you would say that, oh, well, a lot of modern cars have, automatic windshield wipers, but modern cars let you turn that off. So if it's fully sunny day and bugs are just hitting my windshield, I can turn my windshield wipers off from automatic, so they won't continuously be swiping while I'm driving down a perfectly sunny day on the highway. It's stupidity. Just give me the ability to actually control the car how I want. And that's kind of the theme here. There are no settings for regeneration. Kia does it, Hyundai does it, I'm sure other manufacturers do it. I can control the level of regen on an Ioniq 5 or an EV6. You can't do that in Tesla. Tesla does not care. You get full regen all the time. Now, that's not a massive deal for myself, but I know my wife would prefer to lower the regen in the wintertime, and I know lots and lots of people who want to change the regen in winter. And there's no reason not to give the ability to the user, to the owner of the vehicle, to do this. You should be able to control your regen. There's no actual problem with being able to set different levels of regen or turning it off. If someone doesn't want to do one pedal driving, great, let them turn it off. It should be customizable. And unfortunately, Tesla's going to go more and more to the autonomous route, and pretty soon their vehicles will not have steering wheels and that type of thing. And I'm not a huge fan of that. So, for right now, like I say, the supercharging network, it's a no-brainer. If you do road trips, stuff like that, buy a Tesla. But the lacking that individual control over your vehicle is a big issue for me. This car doesn't have the greatest road noise. I know that they have released the Highland Model 3, which has definitely improved that quite a bit, road noise and all that kind of stuff. But my Model Y, it's not the greatest road noise. I don't care too much about that, but it's something that people should be aware about. I find the car quite loud in the interior. There is a lot of tire noise and that type of thing. And the suspension is pretty stiff on this car. I have test driven an EV6 and also an Ioniq 5, and both of those I thought rode better and were quieter cars. And they're cheaper. So again, that's just something I don't like. Tesla's still relatively new to making cars, and they have improved the Model 3. I haven't test driven a Highland Model 3 yet, but I do know people have stated that they've improved those quite a bit, so that's something. Another thing I don't like about this is I like the Tesla Service Center, but I also don't like the Tesla Service Center from a standpoint where you can't call them on a phone. Usually using the app and texting and sending pictures and stuff like that, it's very convenient and it's nice, but if I want to find out the price of a tire or something, it's a pain to do it through the app. I can't just pick up, call the parts department and say, hey, what's the cost on a tire for my car? Or whatever I'm looking at, windshield wipers, whatever it might be. It's very hard to find those little things out. I do really like that they have a mobile service and they can do tire swaps at your house or at your work. That is nice for sure. But I think you should be able to call the service center and just get information really quickly, like the pricing on tires or whatever it might be. So not a huge fan of that. Another problem I have with this car, and it's probably my biggest issue, and it goes with the not having control over the car. Cruise control. The cruise control on this car is absolutely terrible. It doesn't have cruise control in my opinion. And when I say that, I mean it doesn't have cruise control because it uses the cameras for cruise. So if I'm going on the highway and I want to set it to 110 kilometers, great. But as soon as the car thinks that something's in the road, mistakenly I might add, it just starts braking aggressively, which is known as phantom braking on Teslas. It's a big problem. I don't know why there isn't a manual cruise. Just give me dumb cruise. I just want to set the speed and I just want to pay attention to the road myself. And I don't want to have the car braking. I mean, driving on the highway, you don't want vehicles behind you. There's so much anxiety to using cruise on this. So if you take a lot of road trips and you're in an area that's very affected by phantom braking, and some of my road trips are, so I don't even use cruise, which is really terrible to say when you spent this much money on a vehicle, you can't even use cruise control. It's like one of the most basic features ever. I want manual cruise. And there's another, it's not just Tesla too. I had an Infiniti Q50 Red Sport and it had radar cruise, and it only had radar cruise. You couldn't just set cruise to like manual mode. If it was snowing and the radar got covered, you had to pull over and clear it. You wouldn't have cruise otherwise. It's just so dumb. There should always be a manual option on every single setting. So the takeaway for me for Tesla is I absolutely hate a lot of stuff about this car, and it comes down to not being able to control what I want. The HVAC's not great, in my opinion, on the Tesla. The vents are like motorized, they're digital. I just want to come into the car, I want to set the vent manually, and I leave it, right? I don't ever find that the vents on my Model Y save their position. They're always blowing straight in my eye. I just find it really annoying. And I find the HVAC in general just really clunky, and I would prefer manual options. Like I want to set all my heat to my feet, or vent, or heat and vent. It's super convoluted to do it in a Tesla. I just do not like it whatsoever. And the digital vents, going on the screen and dragging where you want the air to blow, I think it's really terrible, and I would prefer manual vents. Like, vents don't break. They don't need to be motorized. It's a simple thing. Yeah, in my opinion, the Tesla Model Y and Teslas could use with a little bit less technology, in my opinion, right? The less technology you can have, the easier the car is to repair, the cheaper it is to operate, that type of thing. I love the EV tech, but there's a lot of stuff that's just excessive, and I really don't like it. I'd prefer manual control over my car. Something else to talk about too, being it's a review, I do live in Alberta, Canada, so we do get real winters here. Basically anything from minus 30 Celsius to minus 40 Celsius. We do get lots of snow, we get rain, ice, all sorts of crazy stuff during winter months, and I've had no issues whatsoever with this car. I would not be afraid of an electric car or a Tesla in the wintertime. Just do note that I do park this car in a garage. It's not heated. I do charge with 220 volt charging. And I do generally preheat the vehicle when I'm leaving and stuff like that. Again, this comes back to the phone app being so good. I can preheat the car, the battery warms up, it charges quickly, all that kind of stuff. So kind of a mini winter review. I really do like the car in the wintertime. I find it's very stable, works well. Again, something that might be kind of nice is if you could control the front and rear bias of the electric motors. I don't know if they can technically do that, because I do believe the front motor on the dual motor Teslas is not meant to be driven continuously. It's more there for assist, for slipping, all that kind of stuff. This is primarily a rear drive biased vehicle, and I don't think the front motor is intended to be driven that often, but it would be nice for people to have control over if they want to switch to front wheel drive or rear wheel drive in the wintertime or summertime. I think that'd be a really neat feature. And I really hope Subaru, if they make an electric STI, that you can control the bias front and rear on the electric motors, because nothing's connecting the two. You should be able to say, I want 100% power on the front motor. That would be a huge win for electric cars, right? There's no mechanical parts in the way of you being able to control that. So that'd be something nice. So yeah, as it states right now, you know, I do hate the car for the most part. I hate cruise. I generally don't like taking this car on road trips because of that. I hate the glass roof. I think the Ioniq 5 and the EV6 are better cars, like actual cars. And I do think Tesla makes a better electric car in some ways. However, a lot of this is going to change next year and the year after once the Tesla connector gets adopted by pretty much everyone. So you will be able to get an Ioniq 5 with a supercharger network. I think that's going to be a really big win for Hyundai, Kia, Ford, all those. And it's going to be really, really good for people who are looking for EVs. They won't have to spend the money on a Tesla and maybe want more control over their vehicle. So that's kind of what I'm going to say to all of you. If you're on the fence about buying an electric car and you can wait a year or two, I would wait. And I would seriously look at the Hyundai Kia platform. They have incredible engineering. If anyone wants to nerd out on electric cars and stuff like that, check out Monroe Live YouTube channel. They take apart the Tesla. They take apart the Hyundai Ioniq 5, all that kind of stuff. They do in-depth engineering reviews and stuff like that on the cars. And Hyundai and Kia make an impressive electric car. There's no doubt about that for me. And I would have traded this car in on one if they had the supercharger network. And they don't right now in Canada. And I might, you know, trade this up later on down the road once they do have that, because I do like the Ioniq 5 looks better. I think it does drive better, and they give you control over everything, right? I can turn one pedal driving off. I can set the regen. It has like physical vents. You know, I like the HVAC better. Just all that kind of stuff, right? So that's kind of what I'm recommending. If you do a lot of road trips, you're scared about the range and you want to have reliable charging, you either buy a Tesla right now or wait a year or two, and then everyone will kind of have the supercharging network and you'll be able to utilize that, because that is what's keeping this car for me, the supercharging network. That's the reason I bought this car, and it's still the reason that I have it. So that's kind of a quick wrap up for you. If anyone has any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment below. I'll probably do a couple more videos on my Model Y. I do prefer my BMW i3 right now, just because, like I say, it's very manual, manual controls. Yeah, thanks everyone for watching, and like I say, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below. Thanks.